Okay, we're holding chapter 39, Lamites. We turned the page, we're speaking about tefillin, the parchments and the tefillin. Parshas Barosh. We have 4 parchments. It's the second page, second paragraph, second column, second paragraph. Parshas Barosh biyad. We have the 4 parchments. In the shel rosh, the tefillin we are on the head, and the tefillin shel yad. Ki shem Hashem nikra al Yisrael. What is it? The tefillin are referred to as os. It's a sign. We identify as God's people through the tefillin. The pasuk says, "Ki shem Hashem nikra alech v'yor mimeko." When the nations of the world will see the name of God called upon you, they will revere you. It's referring to tefillin sharosh. So wearing the tefillin, that's the name of Hashem is called upon you. Kashet tov and divrei emes teda. If you will understand and grasp truth, you will know. Ki tefillin sharosh al haneshama. And where is the soul located in a person's body? By the head. So tefillin sharosh, the tefillin we are on the head, is associated with the neshama. Shascholas kocha barosh. Its effect is associated with the brain. What differentiates between an animal or any other living species and a human being? Intelligence. It's not instinct, and also we have power of choice. That's part of it. We invest, we apply our intelligence when we choose to, when we choose not to. So the tefillin sharosh has relevance to the neshama. Tefillin sheyad tachlis koach neshama baraos. What is the value of the neshama? To make the human being a functioning being. That's what it is. Pulosho balchai misnoeah. That the human being should function. God forbid a person's soul leaves, he ceases to function, there's no movement. He's dormant. He's not alive. What indicates that there's life in a person? That there's movement. So when there's neshama, what causes movement? The heart. Right? The heart is the organ, which is the organ of life. Pumps the blood. Ushnayim. Also, Ushnaim Elu Harosh Vazruah. He's the head and the arm. When you say a person is a doer, affects things. How do you affect things? You always visualize with your hand. You do with your hand. There's the Zroah. Koach HaTnuah. Dahainu Hascholas HaTnuah. Humin HaMoach. What is the cause of that one has movement? Right? It's the brain. That's the neshama. And the effect is you're able to do. That's the forehead. That's where it's associated, the neshama. Which means it's within the skull. Just as the ability of movement, the power to move, it starts in the head. What is a beneficiary of that ability of movement? Your hand, you're able to do. Therefore, where's the tefillin located? On the head, which is neshama, that's the koach haTnuah. Leo sham Hashem al rosh, sham hascholas koach haTnuah. So ki shem Hashem nikra alecho. Where is the shem Hashem? That's the head. Mashu chai. Why are you alive? You're alive because of the neshama. Al zro kli mekabel haTnuah. Omnam han nechosom. It's interesting. When we speak about effectiveness, it's always right, the right hand. You supposed to make with your right hand. Yet we put it on our left hand. We put the tefillin with the right on the left. But where does the tefillin lie? It lies on the left hand. But if this is the concept, this is the principle, it's the potential to the actualizing it, receiving the ability to do, having the ability. It should be the right, not the left, but yet we put the tefillin on our left hand. Right? We put it on the left hand, not on the right hand. Because the right hand is the first, and then we speak of the left the second. Left is always secondary to the right. And tefillin al yamin kim smol shu sofer gemar. So it's very interesting. It's true. The hand represents, it receives the ability to function, to do. But again, if you want to connote, it's fully received to its fullest ability. So the left, it ends with the left. It's true. When it goes to the right, it's still in the midst of the process. But when we say it's been fully effective, when you have the left, because the left is less than the right. It goes first the first stage, then the second stage. Nimtza ki zrua smol gemar koach kabolas koach hatnuo ushleimas hadover. The left is the shleimus. You've completed because you have the right. The left complements the right. Right. The left is more. The right is more effective if you have the right assisting it, in complementing it. Big marshalo, lekach smol dafko shom yitinatfun. Therefore, it's only on the left arm. Shem Shem Hashem achi Shem Hashem al hascholas hatnuo shuachayim u'gebegemar. It's what precipitates it and what completes it. So the completion is the left, because the left complements the right. Even though the way it's explained by all the other Kli Yakar on this, its commentary, the heart, it's connected alev, because it says alavovecho. So it seems the heart is the issue. It's not so much the left. It's not so much the hand. You put it on your hand, which corresponds to the heart. The heart is the emotion. It's the feeling. It's the belief. The head is, that's the processor. That's the processing center. But the actually internalization and actualization in terms of belief, that's the heart. Right? So to the left corresponds to the heart because the heart's on the left side. That's the way it's understood. Even though it's interesting, it's a little, it says, if we're saying we start, what activates it is the neshama, you should first put the tefillin on your head, then on your arm. But yet the order, and you're not permitted to. The halacha is, the Gemara asks, why do we put the tefillin on our head, not on our arm? So the Gemara says, because when you do a mitzvah, you're not permitted to pass over one opportunity to do another mitzvah. For instance, regarding the altar, you sprinkle blood on the corners of the mizbeach. So the Gemara says, let's say you're able to sprinkle it on the first corner. You don't pass the first to do it on the second. But since the first is eligible for sprinkling, you don't pass one to do the other. Okay, for instance, if you have Lechem Mishnah on Shabbos, the way it's cited in Halacha, so you put one on top of the other, two breads. Let's say a person wants to cut the bottom one, and he passes over the upper one. He's doing the wrong thing. That's called Ein Mavirin Ala Mitzvah. So you can't pass over one mitzvah to do another mitzvah, even though you're doing the same mitzvah. So the Gemara says, if you're able, since your hand is closer to your hand than your head, you're passing over the hand to go to the head. So therefore, you put on the tefillin shel yad, the hand, before the tefillin shel rosh, before you put it on your head, because Ein Mavirin Ala Mitzvah. So again, the Gemara is not saying because it corresponds to the heart. That's not why you put the tefillin shel yad on first. It's because since you could fulfill the mitzvah on the hand, you don't pass the hand. Since the hand is close, you don't pass the hand to put the shel rosh. The Gemara says if you have a leap year like we have this year, so we have two Adars. So the Gemara has a question: which Adar do we celebrate Purim? The first or the second? So the Gemara says Why? Maybe you should celebrate. Every year, Adar follows Shvat. So if you have a leap year, so which Adar follows Shvat? The first Adar, not the second Adar. So say, but the second Adar, the Adar always precedes Nisan. So it should be the second, not the first. So what determines which one you should celebrate Purim? So the Gemara says, maybe you would say, Ein Mavrin ala mitzvos. Since you're able to fulfill it in the first Adar, you shouldn't pass the first Adar, you're doing the second Adar. So what's the overriding? Really, the Gemara says that it should be that way. But why do you pass over the first to the second? Why? Because since Purim is Gula, we redeemed. We were redeemed from death. And what is Nisan? It's also Gula. So we juxtapose Gula to Gula rather than the first one, which is not associated with Gula. But if not for that, we would have Purim celebrated in the first Adar. But again, it's based on this principle of Ein Ma'avirin al Mitzvos. You don't pass one opportunity to do it in a later situation if you can do it on the first. So the primary tefillin is the Rosh. Gemara says in Shabbos, we have a principle that Malim B'Kodesh Ve'en Moridim, that we always advance holiness, we don't diminish it. What's an example? If a person sells a Sefer Torah, he had to sell a Sefer Torah for whatever reason, the proceeds, you're not permitted to buy profits on a parchment. Of course, the Kedusha, the sanctity of a prophet is less than the Kedusha of a Sefer Torah. And what about if you sell Nevi'im, prophets, the scrolls, prophets on the parchment? You're not permitted to buy Ksuvim, let's say a Megillah on a parchment. Of course, the Kedusha of Ksuvim, of Scripture, is less than the Kedusha, the holiness of prophets. That's the principle. Malin, but what about if you sell the Scripture you want to buy prophets? Or you want to sell prophets and you want to buy a Sefer Torah? It's not a problem. Because there, you're advancing the level of Kedusha. We upgrade, we don't downgrade when it comes to Kedusha. So the Gemara says, in one location, let's say a person's tefillin shel yad, the strap tears. And you need a new strap. And you want to take the strap from the tefillin shel rosh, and you have an extra tefillin, and you want to use it on a tefillin shel yad. You're not permitted. Why? Because since the Kedusha, the sanctity of tefillin shel rosh is greater than the tefillin shel yad, so that's considered you're degrading the Kedusha rather than advancing it. That's diminishment, that's not advancement. Same thing, same idea. So the tefillin shel rosh is the primary. That is what that precipitates. That's the driving force. That's Kishem Hashem Nikro Alecho. With you're allowed for two things: to study Torah and to get married. Sefer Torah. That's Pikuach Nefesh and something else. Yeshar Babatim Barosh. Right? The tefillin shel rosh has four compartments. Four compartments. Ubais Echod B'Tefillin shel Yad. You have only one compartment. All four are firstly on one parchment, all contained within one compartment. Tefillin shel rosh, you have four separate parchments, and each one's inserted in a separate compartment. So you have 4 versus 1. Why? V'zeh ki koach hatenua. The ability, what precipitates movement. What is the source of life? Neshama. So that precipitates everything. Sheba'odam roi yosel lios olav shem Hashem. Min ha'kli shebekabel koach hatenua. It has to have a greater capacity. So 4 is greater than 1. We'll talk about why 4. Before Yud Kei Vav Kei, right, the 4-letter name of Hashem is 4. 4 is a crucial number. Ulefich tefillin shel yad rosh kol parsha mechulekes latzmo. Yeah. Ki achiluk mora al shem kabel shem Hashem bebiru legamri. Zemora kedusha yisero. He says when something is divided into pieces, it has a greater capacity. If something is, let's say, very large, 1, it's not part of something. A part is smaller. Smallness indicates it has, when you affect it, you affect its totality. When you do something very large, even though it's a whole thing, whatever it may be whole, but factually, the connotation of all, when you affect it, maybe only affecting part of all, of the whole. when I'm dealing with a part and you affect it, it's easy to affect it and totally encompass it. So therefore, since the Shem Hashem is the Tefillin Shorosh, that's associated with the neshama. So something which is part, it's easier to affect. Chiluk Moreh, that it's separated, Al Shem Kabul Shem Hashem Bibir Legamri, on an absolute level. Zemora Al Kedusha Yisera, that indicates it has greater sanctity. Av Lazrohu Kliyam Makabil. That's not where it begins. Koch HaTenuah, Ein Roy Lamala Zos Kamo Barosh. It doesn't have, it's a lesser level. Uleficha Habayisu Echot, therefore it's one total. Ki Chiluk Habatim Fishem Kabbalah Kedusha Legamri Kibul Mavur V'Nikra. It's interesting. There's a Sefarno. We find that the gift, very interesting, the gift that was sent by Yaakov to Esau, it says he sent herds and flocks. And he said so many males versus so many females. Because the male could impregnate so many females. And it depends, is it a working animal, like an ox versus a cow? Or is it sheep, which they just graze? So therefore, the male impregnates a lot more, because he doesn't have the burden of working. And everything was number-wise, the ratio, male versus female. And then it says, when he sent the flocks, there was a revach bein edel l'reiva. He spaced them. So Rashi says, why did he space it? Kadei lamalos edo shelosa rosho, to fill the eye of that evil one. That he should have a full appreciation. So the Sefarno says, if let's say we just sent a mass of animals, sheep, you can't appreciate its value. I'll give you an example. You have a bag of diamonds. And each diamond is unique, but it's in a bag. So you have a bag of diamonds. Well, let's say you'll set the diamonds based on each of their qualities in a certain setting. Now you appreciate what you have. Yaakov wanted that Esau should appreciate the true value of what he's giving him. So when you set something separately, each parchment is its own compartment. What does that say? It's more special. By the discernment is to give you an appreciation of what's before you. If everything's together, you don't have the same level of appreciation. So separateness indicates discernment. Discernment is so you should realize and understand its value. That's the morale. Phenomenal. Each compartment is individualized, recognized in its own right. Although it's the recipient of the effect. I'll give you an example. A neshama is neshama. Now, the question is, what do you do with it? Now that you become an active being, what do you do with it? You do nothing. So it's not, it doesn't have the same value once it manifests itself in the body. It still depends what you do with it. Well, so in Shal Yad, there's no discernment of the separate compartments. It's one large compartment. Veins at Kibul Gomer. Therefore, it's not considered fully, because it depends how it manifests itself. Lomar, what is the connote? That you have one compartment, the Shal Yad, Ki Shom Kabbalah Shem Hashem, Kabbalah B'levad V'lo. It's received it. It's arrived. What's going to happen now? We don't know what's going to happen. What are you going to do with it? Okay, the person has the ability to write a check. He writes the check. So when he wrote the check, that's the power. The one who receives the check, let's see what he does with it. Right? What he has in the hand has value. What does he do with its value? In terms of the one who sent, it's clear what he sent. This is the generator. This drives it. It drives what? Depends what you do with it. Then you'll know what it drives. Well, the tefillin shel rosh yoseh kedoshim, the tefillin shel yad. Therefore, the tefillin shel rosh have greater kedusha, have greater sanctity than tefillin of the shel yad. The tovin masham chachamenu haminiach tefillin march yom in Yiddish. The Gemara says that a person who wears tefillin properly, it causes one to have a length of days, long years. Right? What does the neshama provide? It provides life. You can't live without a soul. Because what does it represent? It represents the neshama. It's the driving force. Anything which is recognizable, discernible, through one's intellect, through one's wisdom, a person would have intelligence because there's already basis for discernment. Until it's recognizable and it's discerned. It's interesting, we say a bracha in the morning, in the Birchas HaShachar, the morning blessings. He gives, if a person's in the dark, right? You can't discern. Everything is distorted, you don't see. Hashem gave a certain instinctive intelligence to the rooster to discern between night, right? Yom v'loyla, day and night. Therefore, what relevance does that have to us? Right? The answer is because we're able. When you hear the crow of the rooster, now the time has begun to be productive. So now we're able to. At night, you can't. There's an expression. You can't fight his way out of a paper bag. If your person's locked into that bag, you don't even know where you're going. But if a person sees everything, and you have clarity, and you have ability, now you know where to place your ability, to where to be effective and where not to invest, because it's going to be futile. Yes. What is discernment? Right? Where do you say atachon nan tonu? Motzei Shabbos is an atachon. The Gemara says, if one doesn't have intelligence, you can't discern. There's no discernment. There's no havdolim minayin. Right? You don't have intelligence. How can you discern? So the only way you can discern. So therefore, what does the Shal Rosh represent? It's the brain. It's the intellect. That's where one's wisdom and one's discretional ability is. And what's the indication? Because that's discernment. Because each compartment is separate. As he explained, it's just one large compartment. There you have to delve, you have to be much more, you must apply and more analytical to be able to see what it is. Therefore, when you want it on the arm, it's not separate, it's one. There's something which is clear and truthful, and something which cannot even be questioned. What is the representation of the Tefillin Shel Yad and the representation of Tefillin Shel Rosh? Every moment of his life was fully invested on the deepest, most broadest, most advanced level of spirituality and observance of service of Hashem. That's the way Vilna Gaon lived his life. And there was a time he was once arrested by the authorities. He was put in prison, jail, not prison, jail. So the warden came to see him, whoever arrested him. So Vilna Gaon always wore tefillin. When the jailkeeper came into the cell, he looked at the Vilna Gaon. He froze in his place. He was terrified. Vilna Gaon wore tefillin. He was awestruck. Couldn't utter a word. That was the end of his incarceration. So they asked. So the Torah says, when the Amoretz, the nations will see the tefillin on you, it's tefillin sharosh, they're going to revere you. We all wear tefillin. So when the non-Jew sees the Jew wearing tefillin sharosh, he should be awestruck, right? But they're not at all impressed or fazed by this. So what they used to say that, but just to bring another level, they say, it's called tefillin shel rosh. It's not tefillin al harosh. It's the tefillin of the head. If what the tefillin represent and the mind is connected to what they represent, then it will create that aura. And that aura creates fear. But what about if you just put it on your head? But your perspective is unrelated to what the tefillin represent. It doesn't connect. We're talking chokhmah, neshama, spirituality, the driving force. So what is it? Nothing. But the Vilna Gaon, where everything was fully integrated, the physical and the spiritual were fully integrated, that it's only the spiritual. This generates energy that creates a fear. It's an aura that you're overwhelmed by it. There's a story with Rabbi Chanan Wasserman, who was mentored by the Chofetz Chaim, even though he was already an adult, grown person. And the story in Europe, they had in Lithuania and in Russia, Jews, they were called Bundists. Yiddishists. They believed in nothing. And they were opposed to religion in the most vehement way. They were anti-religious. And they could not tolerate it. It was known, the Bundists, they would have a banquet in Yom Kippur, in Europe, even in the United States, on Yom Kippur publicly, and they would have a feast to desecrate the Yom Kippur, make a mockery of religion. That were the Bundists, the Yiddishes. The Yiddish language became the religion unto itself. That was the culture. So, the Rabbi Chanan's yeshiva was in a small town called Branovich. It was in Lithuania, Branovich. It was a preparatory school for the more advanced yeshivas. Students, they did what they were 21, 20 maximum, then they would move on to the yeshivas who had older students. So he had maybe 900 students there. Different, fluctuating number. And it's the afternoon, in the middle of the afternoon session, and all of a sudden, a number of these hooligans come into the study hall with clubs. Just a few of them, maybe 8, 10. They're going to take on 900 people. They're coming with clubs. You have meek yeshiva bochrim. They're going to start fighting. Rabbi Chanan sees this. Rabbi Chanan Wasserman Shem Domo sees this. He becomes infuriated. They're actually disrupting the learning session. Would they have a right to come in here? No. We have no relevance to you. We in any way antagonize you. It's trespassing. You have no right to come here. So he goes over to them, to the leader, and he says to them, "You must leave now." So they laughed at him, they mocked him, they spoke disrespectfully to him. He must have been a man in his like the time, 60s. And again, they ignore him. They're ready to fight. Rabbi Chanan says, "You must leave now." Again, ignore him. Speak disrespectfully to him. So he says, the third time, "If you don't leave now, you will regret it." Here you have this hooligan with a club, all of them. What is it? You're going to regret it. So the hooligan lifts his hand, and he wants to hit Rabbi Chanan with the club. As he lifts his hand becomes paralyzed. Paralyzed. When his hand becomes paralyzed, he drops the club, and becomes overwhelmed with fear. This man has some kind of magical powers, And this is the first time the students, this you hear from Hasidic wonder rabbis. This is a Lithuanian Rosh Yeshiva. He also has such powers. They didn't see him, that he has these powers. So they were frightened, terrified. The whole group fled. He became a Baal Tshuva. This event changed his life. Okay? So, students said, "Oh, we never knew that you had the ability to perform miracles." Said Rav Chaim, "No, I have no special ability." He says, "The power of speech. A human being is a physical being. We're infused with the soul, with the neshama. When the Torah says, "Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim," God blew into his nostrils the soul of life. It says, and he became nefesh chayoh. He became a living species. So the Targum, the Aramaic translation, he became a speaking species. The power of speech is a direct result of possessing a soul. I mean, even an animal has movement. So the power of speech is a spiritual power. Spiritual, nothing physical could withstand the spiritual. It's like a laser knife. Pierces anything. So why, when other people speak, why doesn't it have that lethal or this piercing ability? He says it's like a knife. You have a knife which is made of the best alloy, sharpened, polished, and the person doesn't take care of the knife. What happens over time? It corrodes. It has all kinds of uncleanliness on it. It becomes blunt. It doesn't cut anymore. But if a person maintains the knife, it always has a sharpness. And you could literally cut a hair with it, split a hair with the knife. He says, I'm a student of Chofetz Chaim. Chofetz Chaim, from the age of when he was 4 years old, never spoke or would listen to Lashon Hara. The Chofetz Chaim, he's a holy man. He says, me being a student, I'm very careful about my speech. My speech is not corroded. It hasn't been abominated, it hasn't been contaminated. Therefore, when I told him, better leave, or else, where did it emanate from? My power of speech, that's where I became paralyzed. Every one of you have the same ability. But unfortunately, because you're not careful in how you utilize it and invest it and apply it, therefore it's no longer, it doesn't have that, it's been dulled. It's all corroded. And that's the neshama. Kishem Hashem nikor lecha v'yormi mekla. Anything in the physical cannot withstand the spiritual. So if the tefillin is an expression of the neshama, that's only if you live your life as that. If it's fully integrated into your essence of what you are. But if it's something you do, it's not something that you are, then it's something else. It's much less than that. The Oda. Maral said there's something else you must know. Ki tefillin sharosh b'nei shehem al hascholas koach hatnu b'achius. Since the tefillin are on the skull, which is the beginning of life, the neshama's life, and that's what gives the ability to function, which is movement. V'lo yispardu lomar loshen yochid. He says you always fall when we speak about life. Let's say chayim. Chayim is plural. Chayim. Batam kitzor shispasher achius l'chol eivorim. Kilu hoyu achius rabbi. When the soul enters into the body, it's alive. What's alive? Your finger is alive. You're permeated with life. So it has a multiple effect. It touches so many aspects of your being. So it's like in multiples. Life always manifests itself in multiples. Therefore, it's always expressed in a plural context, not in a singular context. Interesting. So just as Chaim is always in the plural, because its effect is multiples, so the tefillin shores corresponds to the neshama. So therefore, what does it represent? It's the driving force, which is the neshama, so therefore it's in multiples. Therefore, you have separate compartments. Because from the brain, the life, right, the whole nervous system, everything comes from the brain. Chas v'shalom, person is brain dead. So that's the end. Life is over. Person is brain dead. So to connote and represent this concept that the entity that's there has a multiple effect, so the tefillin sharosh is represented by multiple compartments. Name echod. But yet, it's 4 compartments, but it's one bias. It's one entity. Here, right? Same thing. It's one neshama, but one neshama has multiple effects on every aspect of your being. Name echod ma'achiyu shu echod uvekocha riboy chlei vorin koshis bayer. As I always say, when people write their thesis in whatever field, they have one tiny insight, write a thesis, PhD. Every line in the morale, analyzing, dissecting, evaluating every aspect of your being. That's what we studied today. We're in volumes. Who thinks on this level today? You're alive, you have a soul. Man has a soul. He doesn't have a soul. He has a bad soul. That's where it begins. That's where it ends. So it's your Rosh, bro. You know, my father bought me a $3,000 pair of tefillin. It was bar mitzvah, 4 compartments. It had to reserve it a year in advance. It's something special. He had to save for it. I've been saving for these. Okay. Therefore, that's what it's about. You even understand what the significance is. If you understood its significance, would you speak when you're wearing your tefillin words that are not appropriate, an inappropriate conversation? You wouldn't. Because it begins with the superficiality of understanding. It ends with it. But understanding what its essence is. Kishem Hashem nikra lecho. If you're standing in the presence of the king, would you talk nonsense? You're carrying the name of God upon you. So not to act in the most appropriate setting, behavior at that moment, discipline. Total disrespect. We speak about Chil Hashem. What's Chil Hashem today? Remember when I first came to New York, certain people, they walked in the street bareheaded. No kisi rosh. No yarmulke, no kippah. Didn't cover their heads. So I said, why not? If you're an observant Jew, you should go with your head covered in the street. He said, you know something? Because, we eat in non-kosher restaurants. Fish in non-kosher restaurants. Pasta in non-kosher restaurants. So if you wear a kippah in a restaurant, it will be a Chil Hashem. It will be a desecration of God's name. First of all, yarmulke eating in a non-kosher restaurant. So I said to him, we could reconcile the problem. Don't eat in the non-kosher restaurant and go with your head covered. That's the easy way to do it. You're wearing the tefillin, Kishem Hashem nikra lecho. How do you speak that nonsense or foolishness? It's inappropriate. What we're talking about here. This is something which directly connects to your soul. I was once at a situation, it's just mind-boggling. People's level of insensitivity. Today we live in a generation of euthanasia, where people believe they're God and they have a right to decide when they take a life. So there's a situation. Could you imagine a person on life support? He's dying, life support, and maybe he has some degree of recognition, and people who are visiting him are sitting and joking around in his presence. Could you believe such a thing? It's a total disrespect. The man, his soul's about to depart. How do you behave this way? What's that a case? Went to visit a person, and the wife wanted that she be taken off life support. She had enough. So I had a meeting with the doctors at Lech-Lecha. Okay? And I said, look, you never know. Maybe if you can live another week, keep him on life support. And we had a meeting. I met with him for about 45 minutes, and we all agreed we're going to keep him on life support. This was the Thursday night meeting at Lech-Lecha. Okay? So after I had the meeting, I felt very good. Baruch Hashem, extend the person's life, because they had no question. If he's on life, so he will live another week. Even though they have to suction him continuously, he will live another week. But you never know. There's nothing beyond Hashem's ability. And this husband was semi-religious. The wife was totally secular. I go in the room where he is. He's lying there all hooked up. Firstly, he's not even covered properly. The wife, the friends are there. His old friends over years. And they're joking around in his presence. They're laughing at this. Walking near. This is probably what Gehenna looks like. I couldn't believe what I saw. It's lying in, like Noah was in disgraceful state when he became drunk. He was lying disgraceful. He was uncovered. And I don't say there's nothing to talk about. You can't talk to these people. But at least I felt, Baruch Hashem, I was able to succeed with the doctors, extend his life for a week. Next day, Friday morning, I'm driving on the West Side Highway. I get a call from the son. My father just died. Yeah? I said, what do you mean? I had to agree with the doctors. My mother said she had enough. She told the doctors, pull the plug. It's there. That was the end of the story. A week later, her own father was in some kind of eatery, didn't keep dietary laws. He just had a heart attack and died. A week later, after her husband. After she gave the order, take his life. If you don't understand what a neshama is, what a life is, what is this? The man is dying. Even if you understand he's at the brink of death. How do you behave in his presence? It's a total disrespect. Where's the human dignity? Okay? It's unbelievable. Tefillin Sharosh. What is it? So I paid a shiva visit. And about 6 months before, this woman has a dog. So, dog was an expensive dog. But she had another dog for years. That dog died. So she has a new dog. So I said to her at the shiva, it was her son. She had a son who was observant. I said to her son, what happened to the old dog? What happened to the old dog? She says, the dog passed away. I said, passed away? I said, human beings pass away. Dogs die. They don't pass away. But you understand, if a dog passes away and you can pull the plug on your dog, you can pull the plug on your husband. You understand what this is? It's a total disconnect from who you are. At best, you're an intellectual animal. That's who you are. Outside of intellectual animal, is there kedusha? Is there what? You and the animal are identically the same. But you know something? That's what this society is. Even though this woman today is a woman in her 60s. But still out of touch, not understanding what kedusha is, what's holiness, what's sanctity, what God is. And this is only the tip of the iceberg, I'm telling you. So a Jew puts on tefillin. You put on tefillin with a reverence. Shulchan rules when you put the tefillin shel yad on. What does one have to have in mind? Just what we say, reading in the Maral now, that you're dedicating all the desires of your heart to God. That's what the heart is, the emotion. You're dedicating the desires of your heart to God, and you think about Zecher Yitzis Mitzrayim. God took us out of Egypt. What did he take us out of Egypt for? Why did they emancipate the slaves? They should be free to wander, do anything they want. That's the reason why the country looks the way it was. It is. Jews were redeemed from Egypt for one specific purpose: to become the Am Hashem, to become God's chosen people. No other reason. That was the objective. That was the thrust of it. When you put in Tefillin Sharosh, what do you have in mind? I am dedicating my intellect to God. My mind is dedicated to Hashem. Okay. When you put it on with that understanding. It's just not a leather box with parchments in it. It's not only a pair of tefillin you pay $2,500 for, $3,000 for. It has a representation. As he says, there's neshama, there's chokhmah, there's discernment. It's potential. What is the potential all about? How is it supposed to manifest itself? In service of God, that's how it's supposed to manifest itself. Avla tefillin hamunochen al azroa. The tefillin we wear on our arm, hu akli hamakabe el koach hatzmuah. We said the arm represents. That's the energy manifests itself. That's ability. Ein zeh derech riboy. That's not abundance. Lakach hatil sheyad vayisechot. It's not multiples, because that's not chayim. That's not the source of life. The neshama, the soul, is the source of life. Where the brain is, that's where the neshama is. Vavin ze hetev gamkein. Dover emes boru. It's unadulteratedly true. Vod mitzarache roshi atfilin sharosh mecholokim. There's another reason why the tefillin sharosh should have compartments. Ki atfilin sharosh menochen al mokom mecholok. Ben yamin ben l'smol. You have different parts of the brain. You have the right side, you have the left side of the brain. Kach atfilin arosh mecholokim arba batim. Shnaim b'yamin, shnaim b'smol. Right? You divide it. Two are to the right, two are to the left. Umizet tovin. Different parts of the brain represent, a lefty uses one side, a righty the other side of the brain. Well, memory, emotion, creativity, the different hemispheres of the brain have. You understand what the Maral understood? Okay. This is in the Dark Ages, pretty much. Umizet tovim Hashem b'raisim sechs menochos kadesh voyo kiyaviacho. The two parchments, kadesh liko b'chor. That goes on. Those two parchments are to the right side of the Bayeshel Rosh. Shmavim Shmom is small. Chilko Parshas Litzod. What did I say? These to the right, these to the left. The four parchments. 1, 2, 3, 4. What does the Gemara have to express it? Two to the right, two to the left. So we're talking about representation of the right and representation of the left. Because no, there's a corresponding factor to the brain, to the intellect. It's the heart. It corresponds to the heart.